Hey, Internets. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords.
What are they doing?
I don't know what the heck.
What's going on?
Been out since that Luke Cage thing.
That's right.
We are back.
We're back.
Talking about Castle Rock.
Yes.
On Hulu. We're actually going to talk about the first two episodes. Episode 1, Severance. Episode 2, Habeas Corpus. Obviously, we're a little behind at this moment. They're releasing these each week, and I think they're up to maybe episode 8 at this point. But we're gonna do 2 episodes a week and kind of roughly catch up, so that near when the finale comes out, we'll be talking
afterwards.
about the finale. I have only watched the first 2 episodes. You have watched
The
at
first
least
7.
7. Okay.
Because the 8th one was on a few nights ago,
Okay.
or a night ago.
All right. So, you know a little bit more than, actually a lot more than I do.
A lot more.
A lot more than I do.
But I forget.
By the way, if you're new to the channel, we do dorkly things here. So it's if it's fantasy or sci-fi or superheroes, we've probably got a playlist about it. And this is no exception. This would be sci-fi, I suppose, sci-fi horror-y stuff. This is all based on the works of Stephen King.
Yes.
But in a, it's like a nod. It's not like it's not a book he wrote and now it's being turned into adapted.
No.
It's kind of exists in the world of Stephen King. Now, personally, I have read some Stephen King.
Me too.
Particularly his short stories, which I always found really fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think I've read, no. I haven't read The Body, for instance.
Gotcha. I did.
Have I?
And I have watched. I watched actually as we start counting them out. I've actually watched several movies based on Stephen King.
Oh,
works.
sure.
But I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not like I have watched every single Stephen King, read every line of Stephen King.
You and Stephen King are just friends.
We are. I do know that Stephen King based much of his work on when he was a kid. He found in his parents' attic. These old H.P. Lovecraft books. And so he based a lot of his work on H.P. Lovecraft. I am obsessed with H.P. Lovecraft.
There you go.
Which basically, it's, I mean, the way you see it manifested in Stephen King is creepy Northeast. Everything bad happens in New England. That's basically H.P. Lovecraft / Stephen King. But yourself, would you put yourself in that mode of...
Well, not in the obsessed with H.P. I don't think I've read a single H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay. All right,
no,
so
not
be it.
one single. But no, I've read a number of Stephen King books, and I've seen movies based on his work.
Okay, but you're not. We actually know someone.
Like
The person who recommended we talk about Castle Rock is obsessed with Stephen King. Amber, we're going to try to have her on the show in future episodes, hopefully at least for the finale, and she can give us all of the Stephen King references we missed.
Right now, she's in a cage.
She's in a water tank below the ground. Okay, so we start the series with a 1991 flashback that shows who we find out to be young Henry Deaver, who'd been missing for 11 days.
What was he doing?
Suddenly found hanging out on the ice, on the icy lake, by this guy Alan Pangborn. And we then kind of cut to modern day, and we end episode 2 with Alan Pangborn burning a letter he got from the now deceased warden of Shawshank Prison. Shawshank, that should hit a note for you. Who basically, we'll talk about this, but apparently, because he's narrating, we hear him narrating in episode 2, even though he's dead. So I'm assuming maybe that narration is the letter, like it's what was written down.
Sure.
And so it's basically like a, hey, even after I'm gone, the town's going to need a defender, someone to defend it. Alan Pangborn, and this guy, I don't know if but he's writing to Alan for that. So whether Alan thinks of himself as the defender or he needs to find another defender, we're not sure. But he's burning the letter, and I think he's got his truck outside the prison or something. Like he's maybe watching to see if this guy we'll talk about has escaped, or I don't know, keeping him behind bars. All right. Anyway, there. So that's what we're talking about. That section of the story. So basically, episode 1 sets up our characters.
Yes.
Obviously, Henry Deaver, incredibly important character.
Incredibly.
Seems like all the events are in some ways revolving around him and this event that transpired when he was a kid.
Yes.
So, 1991, he's a boy. Turns up missing. During the search for him, his father got injured, fell off a bluff onto this lake, I guess, and then later died.
Yes.
And his father was a pastor.
Yes.
So everybody's like, oh, the pastor. Oh, and he adopted this boy. Yes. So Henry's an adopted kid. We don't know Henry's real parents, which is probably something that might come in later. I don't know. But he's adopted. The town thinks
blames the poor child.
This kid who was what, maybe 10 or 11, something like that. They think the kid pushed the adopted dad off of this bluff, and then went off and found a warm house because he didn't have frostbite.
Yes,
and just hid out for 11 days.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I get it. Rumors spread and things happen but boy, that is a leap.
Well, here's the thing.
He just doesn't have a memory of what happened.
If that were true, it would be a very troubled boy.
Yes.
And you would think that he would have less social skills than this young boy seems to have. I would think if he was dangerous like that.
Now, having only watched 2 episodes, I don't think that's what happened. I'll put it that way. From what we're seeing.
What?
I think that is a complete just jump to conclusions on behalf of an entire town about a kid. But anyway,
yes.
But that is the conventional wisdom. Oh, you are responsible for your dad's death, and you're a bad egg. And it more or less, I get the idea that he left town for that reason. Like, it kind of was like, all right, I'm not wanted here. And so when we see him as an adult, Henry is in Texas, and he's defending someone who's on death row.
Yes.
And unsuccessfly, so unfortunately. In fact, at one point he says, all my clients are dead. I was like, oh. We get this idea that he defends people who are, who perhaps are wrongfully accused. In this case, it's this old woman. We don't know the entire story, but she killed her husband. There seems to be a lot of, at least as he lays them out, there's a lot of potential reasonable doubt.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter. She gets killed off. He does spend her last day with her, which again shows how much he cares.
Yes.
And he witnesses her execution.
Yes.
Although then suddenly it's, she didn't die. And he's back in and he's actually trying to keep them from re-executing her.
Yeah.
It cuts to black. The implication is he didn't succeed at that either. Oh, man.
Just a failure.
Yeah. So that's Henry. So then you've got what is the current warden of the and as we open on episode 1, the current warden,
yes,
Warden Lacey, is Terry O'Quinn from Lost.
Yes.
And
that's the late one.
I'm saying as we start at the very start, he's the warden,
yes,
and then he's not the warden.
Right. No.
Very soon thereafter, because he commits suicide.
Yes.
The way he does so is he drives out to
overkill.
He does. He could just shoot himself, but
why would he do that?
He goes to the same lake that we saw earlier that was in the winter's frozen over. It's now no longer iced over years later. Yeah. And ties a rope to a tree around his neck and then drives the car so it snaps his neck off.
We've got to go back.
And then he has a way of hanging himself.
Yes, he does.
Getting hanged.
Yes.
And then the car goes into the lake. And he does too, minus his head.
Maybe it was like that. It's like, we got to top it. We got to top. Lost.
Spoilers for Lost, by the way. Okay. So he's dead.
Yes.
Hence the name of the episode, Severance. So it's his last day, so he would be getting severance, and he severed his head. So, ouch. Okay. So he's dead. So they bring in a new warden. A new warden comes in, and she. There was an Easter egg right there. Where they're like, "Oh yeah, we've had 4 wardens die.
Yep.
Oh, there's still the bullet hole from where Warden Norton from the Shawshank Redemption shot himself in the warden's office.
Yes.
So they make a reference to that. She is doing an inventory and it's like, hey, what's this part of the prison that has like never been occupied for years? I don't know how many years it was, but some extensive period of time no one had been down there. So she sends lackey cops.
Yes, lackey cops.
To go check out this space that no one's been to for years. And in their investigations, they realize someone has been down there.
Oh.
And then there's the creepy, they gotta open the, again, it's sort of Lost-ish, right? Yeah. It's like, open the hatch, climb down the thing, and there's a guy down there who is in a cage.
And another Lost aside there, the creators, Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, often cited The Stand as an inspiration to Lost.
Very good. And J.J. Abrams is the executive producer.
Yes.
Of this. So.
Yes.
So yeah, there's this guy who's just been hanging out down in the depths of the prison in this like water tank, I think is what it is. And at that moment, it's mysterious. What we do learn is that Warden Lacey, back in the day, got a message from God. Somehow a word from God. It was like, you should build this prison inside your prison. Build a box. Get ready. Somehow this guy presented himself. And I think at one point, Alan Pangborn even calls him the devil. The implication, at least for the first 2 episodes, is they caught the devil and stuck him in a cage.
Yes.
And so Warden Lacey had this guy in a cage, and then he would come down and sit with him and smoke cigarettes, because there's this huge thing of cigarette stubs where he would just sit and watch him. Do we know if I thought maybe he was talking to him, but I don't know that for a fact. But the implication I got out of these first 2 episodes is Lacey felt like he was on a mission from God.
Yep.
All the problems of this region of Castle Rock were centered around this guy.
Yes.
And that if you could just capture this guy, you would get rid of the problem, all the horrible things that happen in Castle Rock. And so I'm guessing that means they didn't think they could just kill this guy, that maybe he's immortal in some way or something. I think in their minds he's a supernatural spirit. He has some supernatural powers, it seems like. And if we capture him and hold him in place, we can keep the bad things at bay for a while.
Sure.
What I didn't get out of these first 2 episodes, and maybe you can tell me if they did for the rest, did the bad things stop happening? Because it kind of felt like they kept happening.
Yeah, that's the way I felt too.
It was like, hey, we've solved the problem. Oh yeah, people are still dying horribly, and there's weird things that happen all the time, but probably it would be worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I didn't. No one has said so far, and there were 5 years of bliss.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think somebody driving a car, putting a noose around their neck, and driving off a cliff is not the kind of event you want to happen in your town. So,
right.
I mean, maybe you could argue that because of his proximity to the evil devil creature is the reason why he did that.
Bill Skarsgård from It, who's playing a very similar role, it seems, basically, like supernatural spirit that screws a town over. But he doesn't really have a name yet, anyway. He is creepy.
Yeah,
Look at that. So I think I've seen in reference to him as the Kid, but I don't think that's his actual. It's not obviously his name.
That is not his name.
And I don't think they've even said that.
That would be a form of.
But we'll call him the Kid for
naming their
clarity.
Kid the Kid.
So it's the Kid Jenkins. So yes, right. I think the implication, at least for now, is that Warden Lacey's proximity to the Kid meant that the Kid controlled his mind or some way. It was like, you'll go commit suicide. And by the way, who should I get as my lawyer? because as Lacey is leaving the last time, the day that he commits suicide, we see a flashback to him as he's climbing the ladder, leaving the kid in a cage. He's like, hey, when they find you, make sure you ask for Henry Deaver.
Yes, Henry Deaver.
So, we're not sure why that is. I assume, are we still not sure later on in this season why that is? That's still a mystery.
Unless it slipped past me.
Okay. So I guess the one way to explain that would be mind control, go kill yourself, and by the way, how do I get out of here?
Or other reasons.
Or other reasons. What would be another reason? You have a theory?
No.
Oh, okay.
Stuff that I know.
Okay. Oops. All right then. So he goes and kills himself. Something obviously about that lake is very important. I think maybe that's a portal, perhaps, to another reality or hell or something that, like, maybe something at the bottom of that lake is important. But obviously people keep coming back to that lake, and it seems to be the center of a lot of supernatural activity, and the fact that he chose to drive the car into the lake with his body minus his head.
Yes.
Interesting there. Okay, so yes, we have the kid. The kid has already, just in 2 episodes, has, at least the implication is, he's got supernatural powers. One, it seems that he controls a mouse and makes the mouse run into a mousetrap at one point, which seems, like
yes,
I can make people kill themselves. Yes. Then we see one of the lackey guards, who I recognized from an episode of Law and Order SVU. I think his name is Zalewski. His character name is Zalewski in this, but he played like a noob CSI guy who's really bad at his job, but is also a psychopathic serial killer who ends up just about taking everybody out.
Typecasting.
Is it?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because he hasn't been a serial killer yet.
True.
But he is.
That's right.
Being affected by the kid. So the kid knows that he's like watching the cameras of the jail, and so at one point the kid Zalewski thinks the kid is escaping.
Oh.
And then sees a whole bunch of dead bodies all over, and so hits the alarm button like, oh my God, then almost shoots a corrections officer. He's all scared. And how he still keeps his job at that moment is a little weird. Like the next day he's back on the job. I'm like, wait, you just discharged your gun at a CO, didn't kill him, but tried, and you sounded a panic when there is no evidence that was a requirement.
I'm sorry, I forgot who you were talking about.
Oh. Okay.
So,
okay. All right.
So the answer to the previous question is?
I will say this. I will make a prediction about Zalewski.
Oh, go ahead.
And it maybe from what you just said, it makes me think I'm right. I always pick, not always, but like in Luke Cage, I picked one guy. I picked Comanche.
Bushmaster.
I picked Comanche, and I was like, I will be shocked if Comanche survives the season. And he died. So I was right on that one.
There you go.
I will be shocked if Zalewski survives this season.
Don't invite him to your wedding. Like, this guy.
Zalewski has all the hallmarks of guy who just gets bumped off because he happened to run into the evil guy at the wrong time. But anyway, okay. So, but he's alive for now. Go get him, Zalewski.
Yeah, go get him.
And he still has his job and is not suspended, which, go get him, Zalewski. But we get the idea there. The implication again is that the kid has controlled Zalewski's mind and made him see things that weren't there. I thought at first it was going to be so that he could then escape. The kid could then escape the jail, but he doesn't seem to be that interested in escaping. Correct. At least at this point, he's like, I'll stay. So Zalewski is also the one that brings Henry Deaver into the story because he's worried the current warden and stuff are like, who is this guy? We don't even have a name for him. All he does is ask for Henry Deaver, and this is like bad PR. We've been holding a guy wrongfully wherever. This is going to like ruin all our careers. So they're just going to like not talk about him. So Zalewski calls Henry Deaver and says, hey, this guy asked for you. He needs an attorney. I think bad things are going on. Come back. So Henry Deaver returns from Texas to try to find this guy he doesn't know his name or what he looks like.
No, that's enough though.
And it's like
that's all you need is that. So come.
He's committed.
Yep.
He's anyway. So he shows up. Everyone in town hates him.
Yep.
That knows him.
There's
either people that don't know him, but most do, and those that do hate him.
Yeah, there are people he meets who have heard about him, and they're like,
I will say this: there was one moment. And now this is probably wrong, but since it's a Stephen King, and I got this feeling because there's one point where he's just new in town, get off the bus, and there's just random people standing around, kind of looking at him, and there's this one guy that's just standing like on a walkway, an elevated like on his property, and it's like he's just kind of this fat guy with a like kind of old clothing on, and he just goes like, "Welcome back, murderer," and then that's it. Like that, like there's no follow up. There's no, and he does. I got the opinion that maybe that guy was a ghost. That he was like that. Maybe Henry Deaver sees ghosts. He's a sixth sense kind of guy. But I'm okay. Never mind. All right, never mind. That's from that look, I'm gonna guess that's not right. We're gonna move that theory right along. I see dead people. No, okay. Because he said all of my clients are dead. I was like, oh, maybe.
No, he is bothered. You will see him speak about something that bothers him, but that's not it.
That's not it. Okay, so that guy was an actual just jerk.
Yes, an actual jerk.
An actual jerk. Now spectral jerk.
Yes.
Okay. So he's comes back. He's the prodigal son. He returns to the house. His adopted mom is still alive. Sissy Spacek, as we know, played Carrie.
Correct.
Back in the day. She's not playing Carrie this time.
No.
Her name is Ruth.
Yes.
She appears to have some kind of dementia. She's losing it a bit, but she also lives with Alan Pangborn, the guy who saved Henry as a kid.
Yes.
There's a little bit of friction there where Henry thinks that Alan is taking advantage of Ruth.
He does think that.
Whether that's actually happening is still, at least by episode 2, still up for debate. It does seem like Alan generally seems like a reasonable guy.
Sure.
But yeah, he's kind of like, oh yeah, I hang out and, I'm in the frequent flyer program. That was a little creepy. I'm like, hey, don't say that to the son with the
really hitting it with your mom.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Hey, and she has dementia. That makes great. Okay, so he's back. He tries to get to the prison. He's like, there's a prisoner whose name I don't know, who I don't know anything about him, but he asked for me, and they're playing dumb.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So he gets the idea that Zalewski was the guy that called him, so he makes a plan to try to contact Zalewski.
Yes.
Kind of, on the sly.
Yes.
Which he does. And by the end of episode 2, we do have a moment where Deaver does get onto the grounds of the prison at the same time that the kid is let out into the yard. They make eye contact. I mean, I'll say that Deaver's good at picking people out.
He is,
like
actually.
He figures out Zalewski
that's
is
him,
the cop,
obviously, not
and then
somebody
he figures out
else.
the kid is like.
Yeah.
It's not like there's only 3 prisoners in this.
Yes.
But he's like, that guy.
Yeah.
From across. So he makes contact and gets a picture of the guy, and so he's kind of on his way to representing the kid.
On his way.
Other characters that we meet. One is this woman,
Molly.
Molly. I was about to say Molly.
Molly Strand.
So Molly lives across.
Stand. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's okay. Yes, I've done some reaches, so I'm not. Who am I to judge? Is what I'm saying. But yes, Molly is she lives across the street from the Deavers.
Yes.
And we see a flashback to her as a girl. She kind of had a crush on
she did.
Henry.
She had a crush.
There's even a little bit that seems to me somewhat of a reference to The Shining.
Oh, because
when she's writing the name over and over again. Like, all work and no play makes Henry
a dull boy. Yes.
And she obsesses over him. She sees him leave with the adopted dad, I believe, the night that he went missing for 11 days. Yes. And the dad's kind of like, get in the car, we're going. And they drive off. It's kind of a gruff thing. And you're like, oh, that seems weird.
Gruff the crime dog.
Gruff. It does seem a Gruff the crime doggy. We also do see that Molly, I guess Henry must have been around in his adulthood because everybody seems to recognize him in town, including Molly.
I wonder if,
but if he left as a kid, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, that guy."
Well,
he
was
Henry
there
Deaver.
for
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, but she sees him as like hiding from him when he first gets into town. She's like, "Oh, that guy." But she is psychic. She's an empath, I guess is what we're getting, or at least she claims to be. She has a conversation with her sister where she's like, I have these empathions. I don't know. She has a description tries some pseudoscience for why she's empathic. But we also see that she's got these like artifacts from the back in the day, from the 1991, with like Henry. He's got like the wanted poster, or we're looking for him for Henry, and like what must be Henry's jacket. And it's in a box. And what was interesting was she puts this timer down, little, what do they call it?
Hourglass?
Hourglass, thank you, sir. And it's like she can only look at these items. You get the implication that she's using it to like, okay, and I need to stop looking now. She also buys drugs, and she says that the reason she takes the drugs is to kind of keep her
powers at bay.
Her powers at bay, right. So I kind of feel like that's connected to her supposed power. I'm going to guess because it's Stephen King, she has the powers.
Sure.
So like she can use these items to maybe transport herself back perhaps to that time, or at least mentally, but she has to withdraw after a certain amount of time or something bad happens or something, She could get the fire starter bloody nose thing going. So, yeah, I think she's got some powers, and she has a connection to Henry. And there's also the night that the cop shows up to, like, question her back in the day when she was a kid. And like, hey, do you know what happened? And she's like, nope. And she's crying, and she obviously knows something, and she ain't saying nothing. And her mom is looking all disappointed at her, like, you are the worst. And then the kind of little fun, creepy part was, there's the line of dialogue. The cop's like, "Hey, you're sitting here all warm, but Henry Deaver, he's out in the cold somewhere, and he's probably dying of frostbite.
Yeah.
So we got to find him fast." And she's got her, and I was wondering why she had her blanket up like that. We find out after the cop leaves, she puts the blanket down and she breathes, and you see like a mist, as though she is not warm, that she is somehow maybe in that moment
with the kid,
right? So that she's feeling that same atmosphere. So that's interesting. So she has the ability to send her mind to different maybe locations and times. Maybe it seems like times as well. Maybe no, you're not validating that. Okay, all right. We'll just run away from that one. Okay. Another character we meet is Jackie Torrence, whose name would be familiar.
Yes. Yes, they make mention of that later in the series.
Okay. I assumed that.
Why that is.
Okay. She's either that's just a throwaway line, which apparently it's not, because
it's not.
So she's actually related in some way to
way.
The people that ran the Overlook Hotel, The Shining.
Yes.
So
Jack don't play.
Another good point. So connecting again to other Stephen King works. She is part of this prayer group that goes to the jail, and she picks like the worst guy that she can possibly talk to, and she's going to help him out. But she also is pretty upfront with Henry. She goes and talks to him, is very interested in him. Is like, yeah, you're the guy, you want the real story or the cover story?
Oh yeah.
And so the story around town is you killed your dad and then just were a jerk about it. Yeah. And you're missing 3 toes from frostbite.
And he says, "Hey, he didn't die out there."
Right.
There you go. So
he died in his.
Clearly, everything else you're saying is wrong.
Right. Exactly. I didn't exactly. Cut that off. Supposedly, he doesn't remember what happened during these 11 days. I think I believe him that he doesn't remember. So she's a character that's obviously has some interest in him, and with her name, she's got to be pretty important to the story. We've also got Warden Lacey's blind wife. I remember from 6 Feet Under.
Yes.
Very good series. So she lets Henry in to look around at one point because Henry's trying to figure out who this prisoner is, and he's like, "Well, Warden Lee," and so she lets him in until she gets a call to tell him Henry Deaver's at your place, get rid of him. So she's like, "You get out of here now," and then he pretends to leave and stays. No, okay,
he's already had some time because of the length of her getting the call to snoop around.
Yeah, so he snoops. Finds some somewhat odd, disturbing-y things in the house. One is that Warden Lacey's got these prayer-a-day calendars from all these different years. It spans a couple of decades, and each one stops on the same psalm or prayer.
Oh yes,
which is basically I don't quote it verbatim, but the jailer washed the feet of the prisoners, and thus he and his family gained instant salvation, something like that. You would think in this case he would be the jailer, but I don't know, maybe they're all prisoners and the jailer is the kid. I don't know. Anyway,
purgatory.
So he's obsessed with religious connotations and stuff, and we hear him say a few different times in this narrative, Terry O'Quinn, that God sent me a message, and the devil there, and the sins of all our people are staining the land.
Dirty.
And so the other thing that's also there's some newspaper clippings that he looks Lacey had, and there are some references there. There's one about Cujo, rabid dog goes on a rampage.
I forgot that was a.
And there's one about Stand By Me. There's a body
Christine,
found by
maybe?
I don't know about Christine. There's the car that we saw in The Sins where the car has the exhaust, but it's not like the car comes to life. Maybe.
No. It's not like that.
There was another clipping that was important. Anyway, so the clippings are fun little Easter eggs. And then, as he's about to leave, Deaver notices there's this cellar door.
Misery?
And there's a giant padlock on it. And he's like, what's down in the cellar? And she's like, do I have to call the cops on you?
Yeah.
So we don't see him go in there yet, but I have a feeling by the end of the series we'll get down there.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm useless.
You're useless. Okay. So anyway, there's some interesting / disturbing things about this guy's past. Oh, also we learn from the narration that Lacey's brother committed suicide.
Right.
And was perhaps part of this sins staining the land. His brother was a mascot and leaped off the top of the high school.
Yes, that's right. See, that's normal. You wouldn't want. That's okay to have that happen. That guy's doing his job in jail.
Well, I think that happened prior to I think it was one of the impetuses for.
Was it?
For Lacey to lock him up, because Lacey was a high school football player at the time. He was the one who got injured in the football game.
Oh, okay.
And everybody thought I might not make it home.
That's right.
I should have been worrying about my brother.
Yeah.
And the brother waves at the little girl in the stands. Hey, you! I'm gonna die now. So he had a traumatic past, obviously, as well, which kind of led to this idea that the place is cursed. Who else have we got? I know there are other players that are important, but who? Anybody come to mind that I missed?
Not initially, no.
Okay. So some other Easter egg moments we saw. One was actually, that same bit where they're talking about the football game where Lacey's brother committed suicide, it mentions, that was the same year that they found that body by the tracks. So that was a Stand By Me reference.
There you go.
The fact that there's a scene where Alan Pangborn is talking to Henry Deaver at night in the backyard while he's digging up a dead dog to prove that it's dead.
Right.
But that's very Pet Sematary.
It is,
right?
sure, yeah.
The dog is dead.
He is dead.
I was waiting for it to be like, and the thing was empty because the dog's back to life. It was not. It was dead. Although dogs are somehow important in this too, because there's this big sheep dog that runs around in the woods that showed up right when Lacey was gonna commit suicide, and then shows up and like digs up Lacey's head.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. That's God. Dog, God, what? Okay. So yeah. Anyway, show is. I mean, I was expecting it to be good, but it so far has exceeded my expectations.
Oh, okay.
It's actually, I think it's spot on. It's creepy. It's well acted. There's attention to detail. It's good.
I'm not a big fan of horror, but
Same here, actually.
I've enjoyed a number of of Stephen King properties. Maybe more the ones that are, like Shawshank and even The Body didn't have any supernatural aspects to it, and Misery didn't have any supernatural parts to it. Dolores Claiborne didn't have any.
Oh, now that you mention them, none do. Wait, what?
But I like The Green Mile too, which certainly had a supernatural aspect to it. But yes. I think they're doing a good job of, because even actually I'll be spoilerish in this way.
Oh.
We do learn more about the kid, at least see him in more social interactions, because right now he's not in any.
Oh, good point. One thing that we should mention is they try to kill him off by putting him in solitary with another guy, so it's not solitary at all. But it's like this, Nazi skinhead guy. They're like, oh, he'll kill him. He'll be fine. And instead,
problem solved.
He basically, the only line that we hear the kid say is like, you don't want to touch me. And then the next thing we know, the guy died of cancer.
Yeah.
Because he
metastasized all over his body.
How did he even walk into there?
Yeah.
So again, supernatural powers.
Look at that guy with his cancer walk.
Yeah. Yeah. He's. So you're saying the implication there? You're saying is that
he's a little more. He's a little. I'm saying he's later on a little more interactive. Is what I'm saying. Okay. And so I feel as if. What you should look forward to, the same way that the hero Henry, people have these sort of opinions about him, and you're left to wonder whether or not those opinions are true.
Okay. So what you're saying is that the kid doesn't just come out and become Pennywise the Clownish, where it's just like, I'm the evil thing that does all horrible things all the time.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that.
Okay.
I'm preparing you.
Because I thought that might be the case. It's obviously not the case.
He is not necessarily. Who knows?
Oh, okay. All right. So they're doing shades of gray.
That's right.
It's not just like the one. It's not the Night King. Oh, he's awful. Stop him.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. And this season, this has been picked up for season 2, which is cool too. And credit to it. I think again, it looks quality.
Yeah.
First 2 episodes in, I'm already hooked. I think this is a quality show. And thank you, Amber, for suggesting we talk about it.
Thank you, Amber. So eventually she will school us all.
Yes, on all the
ways when she gets
King
out of the box.
If we missed some Stephen King things, we did. So feel free to mention in the comments all the Stephen King things.
You could say, you can even address Amber. Amber, why didn't those idiots? Where are you? You should be on the show schooling these fools.
Yes.
And so there you go.
Anyway, so we'll be back talking about episodes 3 and 4 next week. Yes. Bye, everybody. Music play down on Castle Rock, down on Castle Rock.